Hey everybody, I hope that I catch some night owls. I had a really busy day today after my procedure yesterday, working with my team, talking with some friends and some people that needed some help, and I just was playing catch up. I had a few minutes before I was going to head to bed, and I just wanted to thank everybody so very much for the encouragements and the comments for my video about my procedure. I thank you so very much. It was a success. There were some things I learned, and but I'll just share a little bit of what happened since you were kind enough to pray and think about me. So for those of you who don't know what disease I have gastroparesis, which means my stomach is paralyzed. I usually tell my kids, you know, your stomach goes like this and contracts food through your digestive tract. Mine barely moves, if at all. So what they have done, I've done this once before, was a series of 4 shots with 80 units. I have a sheet right here from the doctor. It was 80 units of Botox that they put into my pylorus, and the goal of that is, your pylorus is like a tube at the bottom of your stomach that goes into the small intestine. So mine is really tight. So what they do is put the Botox in each sphincter of my pylorus in my stomach, and that keeps the hole open. So food and fluids can push through my body much more quickly. The first time I had it, I got at least 20 to 25% back of my quality of life, which was huge. I was just blown away. And then I noticed, let's see, today is November 15th, about a couple weeks before my birthday, I noticed that my appetite was going down, and then I started to notice my energy levels plummet, and then my nausea became very unmanageable. So I contacted my GI specialist. He's amazing, Dr. Balloon. You're awesome. And just let him know that I was having these symptoms and kind of falling into a GP flare. What's a GP flare? It is when you can have a respite from your system, or kind of like a remission, or your symptoms become manageable, at least with medications and diet and lifestyle changes and things that you can do. You kind of get like a relief from your symptoms, and then at any time you can plummet down into where you basically, for me, I end up being bedridden. It's really hard for me to shower. It's very difficult for me to eat. I lose a lot of weight. I'm exhausted. It changes my whole life. I miss my kids' stuff. I miss just all kinds of things. It's hard for me to run my business. It's hard for me to get back to people. It really changes my life. And the longest that I've relapsed has been 8 months. The last time I relapsed was 6 months. So imagine feeling that way for half of a year and not knowing when it's ever going to end. You just don't know. So when I went in, my dear friend took me. My husband had to work. I was really nervous because you can only do the procedure 2 to 3 times a year. So we were able to do the procedure, but just talking to him, I had some questions. You know, I don't understand, but I asked, you know, what causes a GP flare? Is there something that I can do to prevent something like that from happening? And he said, no, we don't understand them ourselves. But I have noticed that the gastroparesis patients like you that I have, they flare in the fall, winter, and spring months and do really well in the summer. And my mouth just dropped because that's my experience. And there's really no reason. They don't know why that is, but it's not just me that has that. So I have to be really careful in these months. So a lot of times, you know, people maybe wonder why I don't go to church. Well, at church you shake hands, you're really in close quarters with people. And in the wintertime, I just cannot get sick. I can't take antibiotics. And so if I get sick or something happens, it's really detrimental to my health. And so I have to be really careful when I do those kinds of things. And so it does limit you. And so with these shots, it really has been the only thing that has given me hope to have even more of my quality of life back. So when I asked him that was a validation for me that sometimes I think when you have a disease people can't see, you start to think, well, is it just me? Am I lazy? Is it all in my head? Is it anxiety? You know, you start to play games in your mind. But to have a specialist just reconfirm, really that validation is key. It was for me, at least. So he talked about one thing he was going to try while he was in there was to try to stretch my pylorus while he was in there too. They have a special tool where they can stretch it. And when they got in there, I have to go to a special sedation wing. I'm hard to put under and keep under. So I am, there's a term for it, but I am what do they call it? A high risk anesthesia. So I have to do, I do a different kind of medicine than most normal people do. And so anyways, we jokingly were laughing about us nurses, if there was anything left on my Botox, to please put some here and some up here. And they all wanted some too, but I'm like, I'm paying for this Botox. So if there's any extra, please shoot it up here. And then he turned his music on, which just cracks me up. And then he said, okay, kiddo, let's get you fixed up. So we got through the procedure. I took a nap. I got done. I woke up in my room. But he had talked to my friend and kind of shared with her his findings and what he thought. He could not do the stretching. I had not eaten in 15 hours, and I still had food. It's on here in the back. I don't want to gross anybody out, but the lower third of my esophagus and my pre-pyloric stomach and my duodenal bulb. So typically your food that sits in a normal person's stomach is anywhere from 2 to 6 hours and it's fully digested. So my stomach 15 hours later was still full enough that had he done the stretching, my body would have vomited, and if I would have vomited with a scope inside of me, I would have aspirated to death, or they were concerned about that I would aspirate into my lungs and get pneumonia and have a very serious situation going on. So they didn't do it. They did say I could do the shots in 2019 2 to 3 times, which is kind of scary because the first round of shots lasted about 6 weeks. And then, like I said, I started to kind of fall into a flare. I can say, though, since I've had the shots yesterday, I have not had the pain that I had the first time when I had them as bad. I have a little bit of a sore throat, and I really kind of went about my day today. I was a little bit more tired because of the anesthesia, but I handled the procedure really well. He did mention that he has some patients that can go up to 12 to 18 months just with 4 injections. So the more you do it, the longer it lasts. So I'm praying that it will last me 2 to 3 times. If it's only lasting 6 weeks, makes me really nervous for 2019 if it doesn't continue to last longer this time around. But he did mention a solution for that. He can bring me back at any time and then do the stretching, and that should help get me by until I can do the injections again. So we do have kind of a backup plan. But, you know, when I was reading through my notes, and if you want to see, you can kind of see my stomach, but you can see the food. What was kind of, it was a validating thing, but it's kind of scary at the same time, is one of my notes here says, patient with severe systemic disease. And I didn't know what that meant, and so I Googled it. A severe systemic disease is a constant threat to life. And that just kind of put things back into perspective for me. You know, as I'm feeling better with my nausea. Nausea is one of my biggest symptoms, and so that right now has abated. I could not control it before I went in with the medications. They had to give me 2 medications while I was at the hospital just to kind of get the me not to be so nauseous, because they don't want you to throw up when you do the procedure. But I just, that's one of my number 1 symptoms is nausea. It is something that I can't describe to you. It's not your typical nausea. It is relentless, and it is life-changing, and it takes away your quality of life. It exhausts you. It does a number on you. So to hear that, you know, I have a disease that if we don't continue to treat it, I could die, really does put things into perspective. Another example of that is while they were in my stomach, they found a deformity in my pylorus, and then they mentioned it again as an idiopathic, which is just a fancy word for they don't know why it's there, a deformity in my pylorus. So I'm kind of a thinker, and I think a lot, and my brain doesn't really shut off very easily. And so I was sitting there kind of taking it all in, being very grateful for a successful procedure, that I woke up, that it was success, like he was able to do everything he could, and for the results so far that I'm having. Day 3 is kind of the day where I'll know when I felt pain last time, so we'll see if it continues to be the way it is, or maybe it'll get a little bit worse. But usually if it does hurt, it only lasts about 7 to 10 days. But I was sitting here thinking, you know, when you have a disease, and we all don't know what our expiration date is, we don't know. But when you have a disease that could kill you, and you're 38, I was 30, I was 29 when I was first diagnosed, but I had no idea what it would do to me. I thought the guy was a crazy quack, and I felt fine, so I didn't think nothing of it. So, but I was re-diagnosed I was 34. Now I'm 38, and I sit here and I think, there are a lot of things that could happen for me with my disease that maybe I wouldn't be here. So it just kind of made me sit there and think, you know, during the drive home and today, I was really just thinking about what really matters in life. And for me, and I think for a lot of people, we deep down value our family, we value our friends. If you have faith, you value your faith or your God. I value God. And I think a lot of times we get so wrapped up into what other people are doing, or comparing ourselves to other people, or these people make this amount of money, or they're this much more successful than I am. But at the end of the day, what really matters, we can't take anything of that with us. The only thing that matters are those that love us, and those that we love. And if we can be with them every single day and give our best selves to them, and they love us back, and we know that we love each other, and I know that I'm good with God, then that's what truly matters. And to have the blessings and the people that are in my life, I am so very blessed, and I don't take it for granted, especially now that I realize the full depths of my diagnosis. It's been a really long journey. It's not something that they just can give you a sheet of paper and you know everything there is to know about my disease. You just learn as you go. I'm sure there's many more things that I'll learn along the way. But a positive that I did want to share with you is Mike has done an amazing job with my PICC line. I have had this PICC line for a year and 8 months. The nurses were just unbelievably shocked. They could not believe it. They've never seen a PICC line last this long. So shout out to you, Mike, for being awesome and being my nurse and changing my bandage and keeping it sterile for me and helping me avoid infection. It's been a really, really life-saving tool that gave me back a huge quality of my life as well. Another good thing was the nurse noticed that some of my veins on my right arm, I don't have any viable veins except for my hands and my feet because I did so many infusions before my PICC line. But she noticed that some of the veins were starting to heal, which is, I got my first PICC in 2016, so it's been about going on 3 years that it's taken to heal, but it's hopeful because sometimes they don't heal back. So it was good news for me to hear that I have some vein growth back. So all in all, everything went well. I just really thought, I've just been seeing a lot of some negative posts lately or passive aggressive stuff. And I just kind of, tonight I was seeing this stuff and I'm like, life is so short to worry about what Tom, Dick, and Harry think about you or whatever. Like I said, what matters the most is if you're right with God and you have people that love you in your life and you spend time with them and you get to share our lives together. To me, that makes you a very rich person. And I think that we all just need to be a little bit kinder to everybody, because if you saw me walking down the street, you would have no idea that I faced a disease that could kill me. Well, I have no idea if you have something going on in your life that is tearing your heart apart, and we all don't know what's going on with each other. So all we can do, and I try really hard, is to catch someone's eye contact and smile. I'm actually in Iowa. I used to joke, my dad used to always do it and wave at people he didn't know, and I would be so embarrassed. But now I do the same thing. I'll wave, and you just never know if that simple wave or that simple smile or like the comments, Joni, I'm praying for you, what they do mean. They mean a lot. To be able to have the support team that I have behind me is a huge part of the reason why I have been able to progress every single year and get better. So thank you. Thank you for being that person for me, people for me, and thanks for caring enough. Thanks for sharing my journey with me, and I'll continue to share my journey with you simply because I feel it upon my heart. I also have a GB page, which I'll share this on there too, so it's also for that reason too, but I thought that you took the time out of your day to pray and think of me. I just wanted to update you and let you know what I was thinking and how yesterday went. I am very, very hopeful that this will help me stay out of a flare, and if that happens, this will be the first fall and winter since I've had GP that I didn't flare. So if I can get through this season and not flare, it would be a first for me. So I'm shooting for it. I'm keeping it positive, and that's all that we can do is just have faith and hope for the best and be kind to ourselves. please do that, because when you don't have your health, if you don't think, you think, oh, I'll do it when I'm 40, I'll do it when I'm 35, I'll do it when I'm 50. No, you don't have time. If you don't have your health, I guarantee you, you have no quality of life. You can be as rich as you can possibly be, and you can't enjoy it. So if you're not healthy and you're not okay, it doesn't matter what your bank account looks like. It doesn't matter how many friends you have, because you're too sick to enjoy those people and those things. So take care of yourself first. And that's something that I've learned along my journey. And I've had, I learned the hard way, unfortunately, but I think that was the only way that God could get it through my head. So maybe that's part of the reason why I have a disease that is very rare. So thank you so much. Don't be so hard on yourselves, guys. And I just want to send lots of love, and thank you so much for being there for me and a part of my journey. Love to you, and I hope you have a wonderful night.